All right. Greetings and peace, everyone. Welcome to the Committed Relationships and YouTube channel show. I am your host, Relationship Investigative Reporter Neo, and I'm here to share some info with the people. What I mean by Relationship Investigative Reporter, yes, that is a self-title, self-proclaimed title, and I don't think that a title like that exists anyways, which it doesn't matter because we have to stop giving our power up to the society and what it gives us so much, and that's what has been going on for years. We've been allowing this society that we live in to tell us what it wants us to believe and give ourselves the title, and to only go by what titles it gives us. So we are the powerful ones. So once I realized that, I started giving my own titles, regardless if I went to school or not. And that's the thing that people have to realize. They give too much power to these schools, their religions, and what society tells them. Once you wake up and you realize you're the powerful one, you can start calling yourself whatever it is. But it's make sure that you really can back up whatever it is that you call yourself, because you will get tested. But anyways, I want to get straight to the point here as much as possible. I want to talk about broken men and women. They are ineligible relationship candidates. And this came from my years of examining relationships also, and examining a variety of different people, both family members and also non-family members. And also a variety of people that I've been listening to and observing on YouTube. And on YouTube, I'm telling you, there are a lot of dysfunctional people, broken men and women. And also, when I used to be on Facebook, and I say used to be on Facebook because I stopped using Facebook. You can go check my video out titled "Facebook is Now Government" if you want to know why I no longer use Facebook. And even on Facebook, reading a lot of status updates, I can tell which ones are broken psychologically and emotionally. And with me lightly studying psychology, but also, lightly studying psychology and having a very good understanding of it, I've learned, and throughout my years of studying psychology lightly and observing people's behavior, I see the importance that psychology has on people's behavior. It's a major dominance over a person's behavior. And I've learned throughout my studies and my observation of relationships and people that the major patterns, the consistent patterns of behavior patterns of an individual is a direct result of their psychology in one way or another. And I wanted to record this recording because after me observing this one individual, listening to his commentary when he talks about, his page is supposedly about a variety of different topics that is of his concern, and he just wants to commentate on. But after a while, I started to realize that he starts to talk more and more about women. He had more and more topics about women more than anything. And topics as far as not very uplifting topics that talk positively about women. And yes, he'll talk about men every so often, but he doesn't talk about them in a positive light. And the main pattern that I've observed, I've recognized, is he talks about women who are chasing after no good men without money, which that is true, but he talks about that, and he mentions that often. And then the good men, they don't want. And he talks about that also. And I came to the conclusion after reading him, because one of my things as a investigative reporter for myself, I do this reporting for myself so that I can understand what's going on relationship wise and psychologically, so that I can stay updated with the psychological climate of the people here in the American society, because I live here in America. But every so often, if I can get the psychological climate of other countries, I'll do that also. But like I said in some of my other videos, I started this relationship studies after I realized that I needed to learn more about relationships for myself. But now I also study, and I do this work to spread the word for other people, to help them out also. And I read people extremely well. And reading him, after listening to a variety of his recordings, I come to the conclusion that he is one of the broken males. And he comes across as a strong male. But if you really understand psychology, and you know how to read people, you get a deep reading of them, you can see how that he really is hurt. So I did a reading on him, and I see that he is one of the ones that he's been hurt by one or more females in his life. And he was really attached to one or more females, and they either left him for a lower male who was weaker than him and probably did not have as much money as him, because he keeps bringing up women keep chasing men, broke men. He brings that up often, and the way he speaks about it in a negative tone, and he keeps talking about men not having money. So I feel like he probably is the type that has the money, but he lost a girl, and he keeps losing the girl for one or more the woman. Because I try to start watching my terminology, because people are using girls more, and that's a propaganda thing, girls and boys. But I'll talk about that another time. And he just keeps talking about men and women in a negative light. And he's really not uplifting people at all. He just whines in his commentating. And I realized that that's what's going on with a lot of people on YouTube and life in general. And it always stems from something that happened to them within their past experiences. And me understanding the ego, I've learned that whenever the ego does not get what it wants, it'll have the person behave in various dysfunctional ways. And I can give you an example. Well, just like I said with him, he had one or more experiences with a woman who did not want him for one reason or another, and his ego has him creating YouTube videos, probably tweeting, and probably on his Facebook, whining about women. And if you really pay close attention to a person's behavior, you got to look at the patterns. The patterns tell you what is their base programming. And if they're consistently whining about something, then that's something that their ego did not get. So it has them thinking, feeling, and wanting to say and do things in a dysfunctional way. And that's a part of immaturity also. But and that's in one way or another. And then you have so relationship wise, you'll see a lot of people on Facebook or wherever else complaining. So you have to be very careful with these type of individuals, because if they're consistently doing the complaining, whatever they're complaining about, and complaining in general, that's really an immature thing in general. Yeah, once I matured, I realized not to complain and to just focus on what I can change about myself and or anything else. That's what I really noticed. And maybe I'll just throw a little complaint every so often, whether it be unintentionally or it be intentionally, but I always make sure that I regulate myself. And the same thing with my channel here. I used to complain a lot about my mother in the past and not having a good experience with her here on this channel. But once I matured, and I realized that I wanted to clean up my channel here so that it can look and sound more professional, that's when I started to delete all of my old videos that I feel like it was more ego than anything else and immaturity. And that's what I did. I deleted that. So that's what I want you to do too, is be very wise with these relationship people that are speaking relationship topics and giving relationship advice. Look and check out their patterns and to see if there's any complaints, and those complaints, consistent complaints, that is a psychological issue that's going on with them. So if you see more women that's complaining more about men, whether it be on YouTube or anywhere else, then they have an issue with men. If men are complaining about women consistently, that's what they have an issue about regarding that too. And it also might stem from their childhood. That's where it largely comes from, because you have to keep in mind, and I think I might have explained that before, but within the first 7 years of a person's life, that is where their base psychology gets formulated. That is where our base mind programs, our base beliefs get started. And we don't have any say in this whatsoever. We're just sitting there as passengers, accepting all of these beliefs from our mothers, especially if we are around our mothers, and or anybody else we are around predominantly. Anybody else we are around predominantly. So, and sorry y'all, it's 4 a.m. in the morning and I was just drinking some water and clearing out my throat. So my throat is not as smooth as I wanted to. I thought I cleaned it out before I recorded, and I try to make sure my voice is as clean as possible before I record. So during our early days in our childhood, regardless of how our environment is set up, our minds accepts all of those beliefs around us, and those experiences we go through creates beliefs inside of us, whether there be positive, productive beliefs or negative and destructive beliefs. So this is why I consistently mention personal development, because we have to focus on our self-reflection, self-analysis, so we can analyze what we need to change within ourselves and then actually focus on changing it. And it starts within the mind, not running off and trying to increase our career, looking for a career and bettering our career, bettering our income, going to buy a car. No, those things, you can do that after you get your mind right. People keep on falling for the emphasis of money. No, if your mind is not right, stable, and you have not been focusing on identifying and releasing your negative limiting beliefs, and you have not been focusing on enhancing your own mind, then you're really wasting your time, you're wasting your life, and you're certainly not ready for relationships in general, because it is your mind, the quality, your psychological conditioning is what will either progress your relationships with other people and allowing it to be meaningful relationships, or it'll sabotage your relationships. And those people who sabotage relationships after relationships, those are the ones who have weak, poor psychological conditioning that needs to be resolved, needs to be addressed ASAP, especially if they want meaningful relationships with great people in their life. All right, thank you very much for listening. Please do like, comment, share, and subscribe. When you subscribe, make sure you hit the bell button to get email updates. And if you want further relationship information, I do my best to update my channel here often, because now I'm getting more and more new information that I want to share, and I'm doing my best to keep these videos short, straight to the point. So make sure that you subscribe. Certainly share this link with your social profiles, because people need to hear this too, so that they can stop being the disgruntled, broken people who's running around complaining about the males and females. And you know who they are, and you might be one of those people too. So make sure that you go back and check your YouTube channel to see if there's a pattern that you've been complaining about, because you might have been in your ego mode. And that ego mode is when you are unconscious of what you're doing, and your ego is just speaking for you. You might not realize it, but once you wake up out of your ego, you'll realize, like, oh shoot, I really did say that, but I didn't realize what I was doing. I'm telling you, it's serious. That ego, it will take over, and it does take over for most people in their life, causing them to do some really reckless things. So check yourself, just as I've been checking myself, and check your status updates on your Facebook and anywhere else to see what consistent pattern of complaining you have too. All right, and if you want any more of my links are in the description. Make sure you check those out if you haven't already. My email address is there too. Till next time.